Hello everyone, the topic for today is natural selection. During this topic, we are going to see how does natural selection help shape the amazing type of animal we witness around us. In this lesson, we will explore adaptation and what they can tell us about a species' past evolution. But before that, let's try to review what we have learned in genetics. So, in genetics, we said that traits, they pass from one generation to the other one. So we get our traits, our physical traits, from our parents. And these traits, they are called inherited traits. Inherited traits are features that are passed from one generation to the next one. For example, your eye color. We get it is inherited trait. So we inherited our eye color from our parents. Inherited traits of a population change over the time. So we need to distinguish inherited trait from acquired trait. Inherited trait, like we said, we get them from our parents. Meanwhile, acquired trait, they are traits that organisms develop over a lifetime, such as strong muscle from working. Now, natural selection explains how organisms in a population develop traits that allow them to survive and reproduce. Natural selection means that traits that offer an advantage will most likely be passed on to the offspring. So individuals with those traits have a better chance of surviving. And all the evolution, it takes place by natural selection. Now let's take an example. The giant turtle on the Galapagos Island. Now, if a short-necked turtle live on an island with fruit located at high level, will the short-necked turtle survive? No, it will not, because it will not be able to reach the food it needs to survive. If all the short-necked turtle die and the long-necked turtle survive, then over the time, only the long-necked trait will be passed down to the offspring. So all the turtle with long neck will be naturally selected to survive. Organisms that are not well adapted for whatever reason to their environment will naturally have less a chance of surviving and reproducing. So natural selection, it happens on every plant, every animal, depending on its trait to survive. So survival, we include reproduction, building homes, getting food, nutrition, and traits that allow an organism to survive and reproduce in its own environment are called adaptation. For example, in the Arctic, we know that most of the animals, they have white fur. Why? Can you imagine a dark fur rabbit? How easy it will be for foxes to be spotted and to catch it in the snow. So the white fur, it is an adaptation for the animals there to live to their environment. Now we are going to talk about some myth and misconceptions that some people consider it controversial, even though most scientists don't. But even if you are one of them and you think you have a pretty good understanding of evolutions, chances are you still believe something about it that aren't entirely right. Things like evolution is organism adapting to their environment. This was an earlier theory of evolution. Almost 60 years ago, Charles Darwin published his book. Jean-Baptiste Lamarck proposed that creatures evolved by developing certain traits over their lifetime and then passing those onto their offspring. For example, he thought that because giraffes spend most of their lives stretching to reach leaves, their children would be born with longer necks. But we know that's not how genetic inheritance works. In fact, individual organisms, they don't evolve at all. Instead, a random genetic mutation can cause giraffes to be born with longer neck and that give them a better chance to survive than the ones who aren't so lucky. Which brings us to the survival of the fittest. Now, this makes it sound like evolution always favors the biggest, the strongest, the fastest the creature, which is not really the case. For one thing, evolutionary fitness is just a matter of how well suited they are adapted to their current environment. If all the tall trees suddenly die out and only short grass was left, all those long-necked giraffes would be at disadvantage. Now, we are going to watch a video about iguanas, and while watching, keep in your mind these three questions, and we are going to answer them. The first one, what the driving force of the iguana evolution was? In what way did the iguana feature change, and what adaptation did it give to the iguanas?
The ancestors of these iguanas almost certainly lived in the jungles of Central America. There, still today, you can see iguanas in the trees overhanging the rivers nibbling leaves, or on rafts of reeds. Just occasionally are swept out to sea, and the vast majority, of course, die there. But just a few, a long time ago, were fortunate enough to be swept by favourable currents out to the ocean and pitch up here. In their ancestral rainforest habitat, iguanas are vegetarians. Here they browse on juicy leaves. But the iguanas that first appeared in the Galapagos could find no such things. So these iguanas, to survive, had to eat the only kind of leaf that was available. Seaweed. And to get the best of that, they had to do something even more radical. They had to swim. They even learned to dive. They acquired the ability to hold their breath for up to an hour so that they could swim down to a depth of 20 meters. Their claws strengthened so they could cling to the rocks on the seabed. And under the water, they found an endless supply of seaweed, which grew in abundance in the nutrient-rich currents that flow around the islands. But that was not all.